Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the CFL Weekly Show. And oh man, we have a lot to talk about today, given what Commissioner Johnson put out on Monday. It's myself, Shane, alongside Cole, Blake, and Coach Phil. And let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into the announcement on Monday. It came out Sunday, gave us a whole 24 hours to speculate and discuss. And then he drops the bombshell Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern regarding 6 rule changes. If you don't know what they are, opposite sides of the field for players, for teams, about a decade in the making. 15-yard end zones to make sure every team has the same amount of end zones. 100-yard field. The goalpost at the back of the end zone. And the 35-second play clock are all the rule changes that were made.
The Rouge as well.
And the Rouge, the nullified or the modified Rouge, where it's an active play and you can't kick it out of the end zone for a point. So those are the rule changes. If you are somehow unaware of them, how are you guys feeling about them? How are you guys feeling about the announcement? What do you guys think of the timing? Because that was huge talk about it.
Nick, you go first.
I mean, yeah, it was something. Like, as you said, Shane, it was like a full 24 hours of speculation. We saw everything, like literally everything, even our group chat. Like, I've talked to other friends, their group chats, like speculation, like what could it be? Why was it dropped on a Sunday at like 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, like whatever it was? Like the Americanization of the game, as Rod Peterson put it, which I don't necessarily agree with at all. But because he tried to, and I will preface that by saying he tried to say that he was right when the announcement was made, and I was like, not exactly, Rod, but nice try. But yeah, it was a lot. Like, people were speculating about possibly going to 4 downs, and I know that didn't happen yet. Hopefully it never happens. I will put that out there. But the commissioner also didn't shoot it down when he was asked on Monday morning for me and Cole and Coach, Monday afternoon for you, Shane. They had like a Q&A, a little 10, 15 minutes after he made his 5-minute rule change announcement, whatever you want to call it. And like one of the first questions was, he was asked about 4 downs, and he said that basically not now, but I'm not going to say never. So like, are these rule changes? I definitely have feelings on the rule changes. Most of them, like, I'll admit, I'll come up right out and say it. Like, I don't mind. Like, I truly don't believe, for example, like the 35-second play clock, I'm going to notice it all. Like, it'll just be there, whatever. And, like, that's that. As you said, Shane, both the benches and the Rouge have needed to be modified for years. First of all, BC is the only stadium in the West that has benches on their own side, and I don't know the reason for that. Like, I know this year it's because of World Cup preparation, but like even before that, BC had benches on the same side. I don't know the reason for that. They're the only West stadium to do it though. All the teams that have benches on the same side are in the East. The Rouge rule is another one that's needed to be modified for years. We saw, what was it, 3 games at least last year that were won on Rouges, like walk-off Rouges. There was a missed field goal at a game that I was actually at in Toronto between the Riders and the Argonauts. I know in the final game of the season, the Elks just punted it out of the back of the end zone for a win. And I believe there was another one. Like, it's a rule that's needed to be changed for a while. We've even asked for it on this show last year and this year. So it's the end zone. Like, that's another one that worries me, but that's more of a personal reason why it worries me. Like, because currently my season tickets are corner of the end zone, like row 1. So with the shortened end zone, like, am I going to get relocated? Like, what's going to happen with that? Stuff like that. The goalposts, I can understand where people are coming from. I will admit I don't share in the same frustration. I get it. Like moving it from the front to the back mostly eliminates the missed field goal returns, but I will say it doesn't eliminate them totally. Everyone remembers the kick six, Alabama Auburn, that like down in the States. There's been kick returns in the NFL where the kick has come up short and it's been returned. So if it goes wide, then yes, it can't be returned. But if it's short, it's still able to be returned.
Yeah, and apparently that's just not going to be a thing because apparently kickers can consistently kick like 10 yards past the deadline in the back of the end zone, even though they're kicking at like a 70% rate from 40 yards plus.
Yeah.
Like
So,
they're still going to happen. They may not be as frequent because kickers, you may not be trotting out a kicker for a 50-yard field goal when the ball is at your own, like, I mean, your opponent's 32 or 33-yard line.
mm-hmm. No, and the one thing that before I let everyone else go, but the one thing that I really had an issue with that really bothers me is shrinking the field 10 yards. I get, and I know you have a rebuttal because we already talked about this in our group chat. I get why they had to do it with the shortened end zones, with the goalposts going back to the back of the end zone instead of the front, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. That's the only rule that I really I don't like, and I wish they would have just left 110. But it is what it is. It's happened. As the commissioner said, it was unanimously voted by the governors, the owners of the CFL. So obviously it was talked about with them, and they agreed to it.
Coach, you want to go? You want me to go?
You can go. I'll go last.
Okay. I feel like I know there was quite a big, I feel like different reactions from everybody in the CFL like Twitter community. Of a lot of people felt like, as kind of Rod put it, that this is only the beginning of something, and hopefully, or in their minds, things are going to only get worse. In my opinion, and obviously, I encourage everybody to have their different opinions and not to be persuaded or encouraged by feeling others, and to stand by your opinion. I'm totally fine with, I feel like, all the changes in my personal opinion. Especially when you start with like the changes that are going to be happening in 2026, which I believe is the modified Rouge, it's the team benches, and then it's the play clock next year. 2027 is where we have to gear up for the big different changes, which I'm sure will at times take some getting used to, with the field getting shorter, all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, I feel like the quote that kind of was going around was like, Stuart Johnson wasn't tasked to just keep status quo. He was kind of tasked with changing the game a little bit, trying to evolve the CFL, which it needs to be. And I feel like we are stuck in that, the CFL hardcores, which it's not to like they love their game, and I get that, but I feel like at times they also do hold it back because of their like wanting to just keep the game as they know it. And I understand that from growing up, but they also got to realize that this doesn't just happen to the CFL because it's the CFL. This happens in hockey. This happens in baseball with the pitch clock. Happens with hockey with no touch icing. I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, were very upset. Of like, wow, what's going to happen with the no touch icing? Is this going to be like a difference that we're going to notice? It really hasn't. In my opinion, it's probably made the game better. I'm sure Blake, you could speak to this a little bit more. It's also made it much safer, and it hasn't really been noticed. If you're honest, pitch clock in baseball has made baseball. I'm not a big baseball fan, to be honest, but from everybody that I hear about or hear from, they love it. It makes the game much more enjoyable to watch. The NFL, as much as at times it's shitty, and especially like maybe for my Bills, they've made the game almost impossible for defensive players. But it's for the safety of the game, number one, as well as the entertainment value of the game, to try to make it more entertaining to fans and whatnot. Scoring, and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like that's what these moves are entitled for, to try to make the game a little bit more exciting. And I feel like none of these rules really like my in my kind of like scrolling in social media the last few days, I was curious to see if like anybody really had a real like reasoning of like why they disliked it, other than it's just change for them. Because I do hear Blake, that would probably be my most one that I would be like, and I'm pretty okay with all of them, but like the one that I would be the one that rose my eyebrow, I guess the biggest was the field shortening to 100 yards from 110, because that is kind of like somewhat of a trademark of the CFL. But at the same time, the game is still the same. It's still 3 downs. It's still played on a very wide field. The ball's still bigger. There's still a waggle. Like there's not really nothing changing structurally to the game. Obviously, as you said, Blake, with the field goal post going to the back of the end zone, that will basically eliminate any sort of field goal returns. As I know very well, to never leave a game early because of field goal returns, and you never know in CFL games. It does suck in that sense that we are going to lose that play, but moving the field goal post back, we are hopefully going to. I believe there were some statistics thrown around of like from 0 to 10 yards into the end zone, it was like basically 50% of the field was targeted to the left, 50% of the field was targeted to the right, and it was like 3 or 4 or 5% that was targeted from 0 to 10 yards into the end zone. Obviously, that's because the goalposts are in the way. So you would hope that the 5% of the time that we get field goal percentage, or we get field goal returns, that you would get hopefully a ball thrown into the end zone, a touchdown, whatever it may be, to hopefully counter that. Obviously, a missed field goal return, more specifically for a touchdown, is probably more exciting. But I feel like it's just like, to me, it's I feel like a good thing for the game. What else am I missing? The end zones kind of don't are like kind of like Blake, like the shrugging on my shoulder, like they don't really going from 20 to 15 doesn't really do much to me personally. As Blake said, it's kind of more a personal thing for him because he's more concerned about where his seats are and whatnot. So to me, 15 yards from 20, I feel like it's not going to be that noticeable in my opinion. It's still going to be a pretty wide end zone. You're going to still be able to take advantage of it from within the 5 yard line, and still have a lot of room to throw fades and deeper passes. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm curious that once Coach goes, kind of like throw a question back at him. But Coach, I'll let you go, and I'm curious to hear your opinion.
Well, as an American, maybe I'm not qualified to have an opinion, but I don't really give a damn. Uh, Commissioner Johnson, that's a W in my book. I think I saw a lot of discourse, Twitter, Instagram, all that, people saying what happened to the game I loved and the fall of the CFL and all. It's like, okay, you're doing too much. You're doing too much, man. Look, nothing stays the same forever. At some point, you have to move the game forward. I hear a lot of people talking about, well, it's a back in my day type of thing, man. Like, the game has to progress. The game has to move forward. And I respect, I honor, I love the game. But sometimes you got to modernize some shit to make it more open to the masses. It can't just be closed in and the same old, man. Hey, it is what it is. It is little things. It's not drastic. It's not anything crazy. I heard what Rod said, and I kind of agree to disagree. It could be open for expansion. And people talking about, oh, we don't want to expand into America. Why would you not want to at some point? That's crazy. It's not as crazy if you wouldn't want to expand, but that's a story for another day. Uh, it's an opportunity. Take it. I like what he did, and it's little things, it's little details that the average fan are going to complain about, but give it a chance, and you'll forget all about it. It'll become the part of the norm, and I like it. I like the changes.
Shane, before you go, I'll just mention quickly that I actually love that point that you made, Coach, like about potential American expansion, because even though I said, which I'm sticking by what I said, that I don't like the field shrinking to 100 years, that allows you the opportunity to potentially expand into the States, to a place like St. Louis, where they don't have an NFL team anymore. The Rams left like 5 years ago or whatever it was to move to LA. Like they are diehard football fans there. Like I've seen some of the pictures from their arena football, like arena football that holds like 5, 10,000 people, whatever it is. Like if you can get 50,000 people to a CFL game on a consistent basis, I agree. Why would you not want to do that? Like just because of the border, like who's in charge? Like that shouldn't matter. Like it should be, and I think these changes are that's what they're trying to do, but it's about making money, whether that's a Canadian buck or an American buck.
At the end of the day, it's a business. And I like that Johnson is trying to make it a business. You look at the NFL, and I hate that I have to say this, but NFL it's not it's a bit NFL. They take money, they don't give money. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be a little selfish in the situation. And I know some fans are going to be upset. I know a lot of fans are going to feel some type of way. But how can you get the casual fan to watch more? How can you keep the diehards? You're going to upset the diehards, but you're going to get more casual people to watch. And that's what, and like, look at the NFL. The NFL does that. A lot of people, they know who the Dallas Cowboys are. They know who the Seahawks are. They know who all the New York Giants or the Patriots and teams like LA. They're casuals, but it brings in money. CFL got to make money. And we don't know where the expansion will happen. It could be in Halifax. It could be anywhere in Canada. Hell, it might be Alaska for all I give a shit. But at the end of the day, it's about making money. And that's what they're here to do. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Shane, you got anything to add before we kind of move on?
I mean, it's been a long time coming. The players on opposite benches was a thing when they were talking about like Duron Carter and Rick Campbell, that entire scuffle after a Duron Carter touchdown when he was with Montreal and Rick Campbell was still with Ottawa. We give him a little like shoulder pop. We see it constantly in Ottawa because benches are right beside each other, where players are just jawing back and forth heading to the sidelines. But it goes into the 35-second play clock, which I think people are don't understand how that one works. Where if you watch a CFL play already, the 20-second play clock is from when the whistle is blown. That doesn't include any of the time from the end of one play to the time they get lined up. So this 35-second play clock is basically from the time that play ends, you have 35 seconds to get another play off. And that's why the opposite sides of the field for the benches make sense, because now you can literally just run off anywhere and you don't have to run back 55 yards just to get a swap in. You can literally just run to your sideline and walk the way back or run the way back on the sideline to keep the game moving. I understand why people's frustrations or concerns around the 2-minute warning or the 3 minutes. How will that impact it? Right? If you have 35 seconds, can you take 15, 20 seconds to get up to the line of scrimmage and then run like a quick run play and just run out the clock? I'm very curious on how the rules committee kind of modifies that.
Well, I had heard something. Sorry to cut you off, Shane, but I had heard potentially that in order to counteract that, the 35-second play clock, that they might add a timeout. So currently, like you get 2 timeouts per half, and then in the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, if you don't use the first one, then you lose it and you get 1. Whereas this way, you could potentially end up with 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I think one thing I've seen and one thing I've had other conversations about is the game clock not starting until the 20-second mark of the game clock. So you have 15 seconds where the game clock does not move, which will basically be the same as what we have now. And I think that would make the most sense, where you have basically a free 15 seconds like you already do and that when the 20 seconds hits or when the whistle gets blown in, whichever happens first, that's when the game clock starts. Because that's what happens now, anyways, in the final 3 minutes. Like once the whistle's blown, then the game clock starts. I think that's what it's going to end up being. I think, or some variation of that. But I don't know. I don't mind the Rouge. I don't mind the field goals, like the field goal post being moved to the back. The only reason why they were up there was it was the last one of the last remaining things of rugby. There was no reason for them to be up there. I still think there's going to be, I was looking at the numbers and like most of the returns from what I can find happen on like 40+ yard field goals, which CFL kickers are terrible at this year. From 40 to 49, they're hitting at 72%. From 50 plus, they're hitting at 63. Combined, they're hitting at 70%. Like, and expecting a kicker kickers who are already struggling to kick it just past the goalposts, more than 5 yards, to try to kick it further than they have to, you will land with some short putts. Or you will land with short kicks. And unlike the NFL, where short kicks are just dead balls, once it hits the end zone, it's a dead ball. You get it where it was kicked. There will still be returns. You'll see a decrease, 100%, but I don't think the play is just going to up and vanish the way some people are expecting it to, because I don't think they can. They realize the numbers indicate otherwise. And like the fact that a field goal now, like a 40-yard field goal is now would be 55 yards. Like anything, like if you're lining up outside of the 33-yard line for a field goal, you're basically putting yourself in a position to walk away with 0 points, given how the kickers so far have kicked over 50. So I think you're going to see more offense, less kicks.
Which is exactly what the league wanted.
More points.
I got one. If we're all kind of Shane, you got any more to say? No. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You just break up a little bit.
I'm sorry. Coach, my question would be for you more specifically, and you kind of already mentioned a little bit with like expansion. Of course, you are an American as well. And this might be a little bit of like a slippery slope we're going to go down here. But I feel like too often I see maybe more on social media of like and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a little bit, like the Nathan Work comments, Sean White as well, not being too happy. Where like personally, I feel like some of them kind of come off as like a little bit like, I don't know if childish is the right word, but like they just like refuse to let the CFL grow or evolve in any other way other than just the way they know. And it's like impossible for them because like case in point of like the expansion, right? And basically all the reaction I saw was like, oh, well, we don't need expansion into the States. And it's like I just find that's like very silly mentality to have when, as you know, I don't know if any of you guys saw the interaction between like Bob Irving and Milt Stegall of like, Bob basically said like that the CFL is in the best place it's been with the ownership and whatnot, and Milt kind of chimed in back of like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily true with like 7 of the 9 teams being negative after the season more often than not. So it's like I just feel like, and I said it already, like status quo is not good enough anymore. And like I hate that like that's just like that's how they want to keep the CFL and like we need to change and evolve and attract other fans and other like football watchers. And to me, the like keeping the CFL Canadian, I get that. And I'm with that. 3 downs, waggle, all that shit. Keep it traditional. But like the whole like people freaking out about the ratio talks and all this stuff, and I feel like it was almost case in point. I get it that it was kind of a little bit. Shane mentioned like how we felt about the timing of like randomly we get this like CFL post on Twitter on Instagram with like major announcement coming. So I get that everybody overreacted, but everyone overreacted right away to don't go to 4 downs and all this shit and blah 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 blah, and freaked out when I Blake brought up the interview already. He mentioned right away though that was never a conversation. He definitely didn't. He when the question was asked, it was that conversation brought up, or can you guarantee that we never go to 4 downs? He said that it was never a conversation in the meetings with the board of governors or the owners, but he could not guarantee that it wouldn't be something that they talked about, something that would be brought up maybe in future. But other than that, the game is staying the same, and I feel like people overreacted so much, and it was kind of like ridiculous to me, especially with Nathan and like the whole like oh that league down south and all this stuff, and like oh, I chose the CFL over the NFL. Well, that's not necessarily true if we're being honest. If we're calling a spade, and everybody on this chat knows, everybody that's watching knows, there's nobody in the CFL that probably loves Nathan more than me. So calling a spade right now, you didn't pick the CFL over the NFL, brother. You tried with 4 teams and it didn't work out. Do I think you should have got a better chance? Absolutely. But you came back to the CFL rather than staying in the CFL when you were at your high. So let's get things straight. With the Americanization of Rod obviously popping off on Twitter, and I feel like that also kind of riled everybody up because him saying that and then also celebrating it was like that wasn't true at all. My question to you, Coach, being an American, is like outside of yourself, because obviously you rep the CFL hard and you're a nice CFL diehard, but like, has there in your mind been like any more traction down in the States with like people tuning in as far as like the CBS stuff, as far as like just like I feel like we're at like a day and age of like CFL football being like coming across online of like the viral clips, right? And maybe people will like throw it on everyone every once in a while. But like, is there any traction going on? Because I feel like we need to like expand outside of just the norm, man, and we need to get better. And just staying status quo once again is just not good enough. But like, what's your opinion on that, Coach?
Okay, so funny thing is, my head coach was the head coach for Davis Alexander, and we talk about it a lot, um, about CFL, and I pump it up as much as I can. And the response that I always get from people is, I like it, but it feels like a gimmick. I'm okay with 3 downs. I'm okay with the wide open game, because a lot of people that know football know that a lot of the wide open game came from the CFL. But they feel like there was too many gimmicks. The wider end zone, the things that they're actually going to change. So the traction is coming slowly but surely, because there's a lot of people who are turned off by the NFL being a big monopoly, and there's a lot of people that want alternative football. I hate saying alternative football. Football is football, but this is the right time for the CFL to make not drastic changes, but just evolve. This is the time, and I'm probably gonna get some hate for saying this, but it's a lot of the old generation complaining, and it's not my game that I loved, and it's not. We don't need the American aspect, but you got American players, and y'all rep them hard. But it also, you don't realize it'll open doors for more Americans to come want to play, or players that marquee names to actually want to come to the CFL because of certain changes. They make the adjustment easier and they can ball. How many guys have come from America and flopped? A lot, because they couldn't adjust to the game. But if it's a little bit American and a little bit of Canadian, boom, you got something there. So to answer your question, it's getting there, but a lot of people feel like there's too many gimmicks that come with it, or they don't have the marquee names. They don't market them the way we do down here. So they don't know. That's just what I get.
I just feel like in expansion talk, obviously, is like the next probably step I would imagine after this, as far as like obviously he mentioned like there's going to be reviews going forward, like maybe other possible rule changes to be had, but like unless he does something else groundbreaking, like what else is there to change outside of like the foundational stuff of the CFL, the waggle, 3 downs, all that stuff. So I would imagine next would be like expansion. And if we're being honest, like where in Canada realistically could we go? So the next point, and as Blake already brought it up, with going maybe in North America first, but going global, man, and going and putting your product on the road, putting the show on the road,
Yeah.
and going out to the people and being like, man, let's go to, as Blake said, St. Louis with the Seattle Battlehawks. I believe was their last. Was that USFL or XFL? One of the two.
It's
And they had they had pretty good turnout though, and pretty good following and a fan base of go showcase yourself in front of people and attract them to like watch and love your game for the product on the field, because as Coach said, half the players are American. Like we can't just, as soon as they come up here, it's this is our league, this is our league. Well, no, this is half their league as well. They play in it. It's not just because we love it and we're fans of it doesn't mean it's ours.
But there's a lot of but not to cut you off. There's a lot of prideful motherfuckers that just won't stop.
Yeah.
They just won't. Damn. You can't stay the same forever. You got to change with the times, man. And that's what's frustrating is you have a lot of prideful people who just, and right or wrong, they love their game. But the game ain't gonna love you back. You don't fuck with the foundation. You build on the foundation. That's it. Why is that so hard to understand?
I'm just curious because I feel like the reaction was so negative and people went to like and like I said, maybe it's the influence of guys like Rod and stuff like that, of like the Americanization. It's like that was the craziest, like that's the crazy thing to say for anybody, to say that these rules Americanize the CFL. That's like ridiculous.
The game is already Americanized. And I'm gonna say this, and then Shane, you can speak, because I say this all the time about the NFL. So please pardon my French what I'm about to say. You've got a lot of niggas that play in the CFL. You got a lot of niggas that play in the NFL. Without us, the league ain't shit. We make the big plays. We the stars. And that's a deeper conversation for another day, but hell, we American and we gonna make plays. We gonna showboat. We gonna bring the show. But you can't alienate the American fan. It's fucked up, because when we get into it, we get into the CFL, they want to shoot you down and say, oh, he's an American, he don't understand our game. Well, fuck, how can I understand the game if you won't teach me and let me learn? And then also you're not very welcoming. You gotta be welcome to the changes that are being made. It ain't like Johnson said, fuck it, we're going 4 downs. Now, if he would have did that, oh my God, everybody would have thought it would have been hell. But excuse me, but don't alienate the people that make your league what it is. That's just me. That's how I see it.
Okay.
Traditionalists have ruined the CFL for the last 40 years. And I'm going to be very honest, the ratio is the worst thing about the CFL. And people can try to say, oh, it's Canadian. It's hurt Canadian development for the last 25 years. The ratio has been a crutch. It's been a scapegoat. It has been there to neglect the CFL's ability, like the CFL actually giving a shit about development at grassroots level. Like, oh, you're talking about grassroots. CFL's never given a fuck about grassroots level.
No.
There's not been one.
As proven by the fact that they made these changes without talking to anybody.
They don't give a fuck about the grassroots level. They never have. They never will. They don't give a. The NHL barely gives a fuck about the grassroots level. And the only major league that has shown any considerable fucks at a grassroots level has been the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the major league's responsibility to care about grassroots level.
Well, baseball, they do. Baseball, that's their minor leagues. They don't play about their minor leagues. That's why you be seeing minor league draft picks and minor league players getting traded. If it weren't because there's value to them.
True, but it's not like amateurs. You're not really seeing MLB putting millions of dollars into youth
The
baseball.
Little League World Series.
Yeah, that's. But I'm saying
baseball
though,
is its own beast, but the MLB as a whole, you don't see the MLB putting in millions of dollars at a youth level. You're not seeing the NHL put in millions of dollars.
not in the states, but in like the
international, it's a little different. But like in Canada, they don't like the CFL. I didn't have it. Like I grew up in Ottawa. I had a team from 2002 to 2005. Didn't have a team from 2006 onwards. I didn't see a single shit about the CFL. There was no camps. There was no interest at all. CFL doesn't
until 2014.
It hasn't. Why NFL Canada has become so dominant up here. But the problem is that they've had these traditional rules like the ratio that the CFLPA, and I think people need to realize that the CFLPA has been a bigger headache for the CFL than anything. But they don't want to change. They've been there's a reason why he's the 15th commissioner. We have gone through 4 commissioners since Ottawa's coming to the league. We have gone through 4 commissioners since 2005.
Jesus Christ.
The NFL and NBA have just run to their second one. They are on their second one in the last 50 years. NHL's been on their same one since '93.
Yeah, it's why Canada hasn't won a cup.
That's a different conversation. There's a reason why the CFL has struggled, because they've struggled to adapt, because you have traditionalists at the head off in the PA in certain head office positions and fans that just don't want to change. They think everything is rosy and wonderful and everything's great and this is the best version of football. Sure, it's a lot better than the NFL in my opinion. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more entertaining. It's a lot quicker. But to sit here and say it's the best version of football when you have 10 punts a game and you at least once a week you have one game where in one quarter you go through 6-7 punts. That's not the best.
We just had a game the other day, which I know we're going to talk about in a moment because we're hurt.
We had a game the other day where three completions.
That's what I was going to say. 3 completions for about 75 yards.
The CFL needs to adapt. I love the rule changes. I think every single one of these rule changes doesn't Americanize the game. It's just common sense adjustments. The only reason why the field goal was at the front was because of rugby. The reason why the NFL got away from it because they realized that it impacted the offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's common sense stuff. It doesn't make it less Canadian. We still have the Waggle. We still have 12 mans. We still have the wider field.
The foundation.
I'm not a huge fan of I don't see the point of getting rid of that 10 yards. But I guess if it's making up for the fact that the goalposts are going to the back, going to the back of the end zone, sure, it also does end up in, you can't, Halifax. There's been a lot of chatter about the new Halifax stadium that's being built for the Wanderers. They can now fit into that stadium because it fits better for soccer. You mentioned St. Louis earlier. It does allow for expansion, but expansion won't happen until you get rid of the ratio. Because that's why the NFL the U.S. expansion didn't work, was because none of those U.S. teams had Canadian players, and the PA all got butthurt about it. To be fair, there was also way too spread out. Why do you have 5 teams across the country, and then complain that travel was too much?
Baltimore.
You have
Baltimore,
you have
Sacramento,
you have San Diego. You have them everywhere.
Memphis Mad Dogs.
Oh my Las Vegas. You have them everywhere, but then complain that travel's too much. Well, no shit. You're traveling across the entire country. What do you expect?
But to put a nail in the coffin on this, I will say one thing. Traditionalists are killing the game.
Yep.
They and if you say anything against them, then they vilify you and act like you don't love the game. Nah, man, everybody can love the game differently, but you don't have to shit on anybody that's new coming for you because your mind is stuck in a way that's old school.
We just talked a few minutes ago about I hear what you're saying, and I 100% agree with you, Coach, because we just talked about like 20 minutes ago baseball, the pitch clock. Like we're forgetting one of the biggest. Like they just made a rule change literally yesterday
Yeah.
that they're officially going to the ABS challenge system. But like one of the biggest rule changes, and it's been the best thing for the game, is the fact that the NL pitchers don't have to hit anymore. You know why? Because they all sucked at hitting.
Yes.
Like nobody wanted, that was a free out. That's what it was in baseball. That was a free out. The pitcher would come up, and if somebody was on base and there was less than 2 outs, they would square to bunt and it would be a free out. That has made the game better. And you know what the traditionalists said about baseball? You're gonna ruin the game.
The game is so
Well,
pure. No, fuck that.
last time I checked, you wouldn't have a guy like Shohei Ohtani if you still had that rule. So has that
They,
made the game better or worse?
they want the game to be on their terms where you ain't got a fucking say in none of it. You're a fan. Be a fucking fan. That is your fucking place. You don't have you might have a little say because the fans do make the game what it is. But when you are stuck in a way that's outdated, dog, you have no say whatsoever.
Yeah. And like the whole like Americanization of the CFL reaction was ridiculous, but then the other reaction that was even more was like the whole everybody going after all the TSN like analysts that supported the decision, basically saying like, oh, Stuart Johnson has you in his pocket kind of thing. Like you're not saying how you want to feel. It's like, no, they're realistically saying how they really feel. They all enjoyed it basically from everyone that I saw outside of it. I know Dwayne Ford, I believe, kind of mentioned a few things that he might like kind of had some hesitation with, but other than that, Farhan, Dave, Ferguson, Nielsen, like all of them didn't say anything and that they enjoyed all the rule changes. And it's like for people to like go after them and be like, oh, you guys are just TSN employees, like all this stuff, blah blah blah. It's like, man, get your fucking like, give your head a shake. Give your head a shake. I'm just, it really just like kind of pissed me off honestly the last few days. Like the reaction of people just like freaking out for like almost honestly no reason in a way. I understand it's going to be different. Change is good. Change is hard. Get used to it.
Traditionalists,
Part
man,
of life.
are the worst thing in sports. It's the same, and it's not just the CFL. It is everything. It is
Yeah,
every
we just
sport.
talked about it. It's baseball. Like
Are the
Cole
worst.
mentioned it earlier. It's like
The
it's
NFL just
hockey. It's
changed their
soccer.
kickoff
The
rules.
MLS. Like, and I can say this because like the Whitecaps are arguably, if not the best team in MLS,
Mm-hmm.
but the MLS would be nothing if they hadn't got rid of like the way they decided games and like all those gimmicky rules. They would be nothing.
But yeah, it's going to suck not having as many returns. But also, the reason why we have so many returns is because teams are settling for long kicks.
Absolutely.
They rather kick it from the 45 than go for it on 3rd and 3 from the opponent's like 37. Like Montreal is the worst offensive team. They have a touchdown percentage of like 13.7. Last in the league, but they're first in field goals. They're first in field goal attempts, field goals made in total, and then also they have 30 field goals inside 40 yards.
Yes,
Which means
because
they're
they have
kicking
one of the
field
best
goal-
kickers in the game. But
But their average field goal is 34 yards, which means
no, I
they're
agree.
lining
I'm
up
just saying the
at
reason
like
they're settling is because they have one of the best kickers.
yes,
But
but that's the
these
problem.
rule
If
changes,
I was a Montreal fan, I'd hate to be on my opponent's 27-yard line and have my kicker come out every single time.
yep.
Like you're kicking 30, you have 30 kicks from inside the 40-yard line, and your average kicking depth is like 34 yards. That's not fun to watch. I hate that. Personally, like I would hate that. I mean, it's the same in the NFL. You come out at like 20 yards, you're kicking a 35-yard field goal. Or are you kicking it from 20 yards? But this is why these rules are done. They're hoping that teams put their offense in situations, or when it's like, it's understandable if it's like 3rd and 6 and longer. But if you're 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4 and shorter, keep your offense out there. The risk is now worth more. The analytics are more in your favor now than they are currently.
Hey, at the end of the day, it's about putting asses in seats and winning championships. Your offense puts asses in seats. Your defense wins championships. It's pretty fucking simple. People just overcomplicate the fuck out of the business aspect. And a lot of fans who speak on it, the traditionalists, they don't know the ins and outs of the business like they say they do.
But
Right.
we've talked for
Let's
45 minutes, so is it
go.
is it time to move on to the games now, Shane?
I don't know. I mean, this is pretty significant news within the CFL. I feel like 45 minutes is substantial.
I just don't know if anyone wants to hear us talk for 2.5 hours. That's all.
I feel like it'd be fun.
No.
I get a little crazy near the end. It'll be fine. But yeah, let's just jump right into this week's games. So
big news. So sorry, Shane. Before you recap the games, big news, which I know we'll get to in the picks, but big news out of the CFL where pretty much all the injured starters are on track to return this week. And other than he who shall not be named, this is the first time that all starters in the CFL will play since week 1.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's not shocking. Yeah, you need 2 quarterbacks.
But anyways, I'll let you go on now, Shane.
So the first Friday game, Montreal in Toronto, the Alouettes pull out a win 21-19 over the Argonauts. It was an okay game. Nothing spectacular. Again, I think this game is one of those games that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's probably why they put in the rule changes. But nothing spectacular. Bethel Thompson played absolutely garbage. 18 for 30, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jarrett Doge, 25 on 37, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah, and the interception cost the Argos the game.
Yeah.
But
it was a ugly ass game to watch. I mean, Toronto lost it because their defense was playing and lights out. They were doing the damn thing, but then they cost themselves with penalties. That's what killed them. Stupid penalties. It was two crucial PIs that were under review. One was also an interception by McFadden, but I don't know. Both offenses looked like hot garbage.
yeah, and to me, it looked like a game that neither team wanted to win, because like late in the game, like inside the final 3 minutes, the Alouettes had, I believe it was an 8-point lead or a 9-point lead, something like that, Shane. It was cut to 5. Maybe that was just outside the 3-minute warning. The Argos got the ball back and they had it inside the Montreal, and again, this game, no, it's not the exact reason, but maybe it's part of the thinking behind the rule changes, because they had the ball at the Montreal 30 with about a minute and a half left, and instead of going for it, going for the lead and potentially the win, they kicked a field goal. And yes, if the Argos won, then Dinwiddie would have looked like a genius because they got the ball back and they had a chance to win, but they didn't. Yes, they got the ball back. Yes, they were driving probably for a game-winning field goal, but then their QB threw a pick and you lost the game. And I didn't understand the psychology behind it when it happened. I still don't understand the psychology behind it. Yeah, I get it. You have all your timeouts. Go for the win. You are fighting like the Argos. Like, if they lose this upcoming Friday against the Lions, their playoff hopes are basically done. You are fighting for your playoff lives. Act like you want to win the damn game.
Too busy kicking field goals on the sideline last week. That's the problem.
There
There were 15 punts in this game. Hegarty had 8, and Montreal's kicker Zima had 7. 344 yards in punts for Montreal, and 383 yards in punts for Toronto.
So
There was
more yards and punts
punt
than
yards
total offense.
than total offense. That is a clear reason for these rule changes. The fact that you get 700 yards in punts and you didn't even crack.
Oh,
That's an ugly stat.
You barely cracked 500 yards of total offense between both teams.
Do we have to keep talking about this game? Can we
Next.
I mean, it doesn't get much better. I mean, it goes that the
well, it gets better for me and Blake.
Yeah, I liked that.
52-23 stomping the BC Lions handed the Calgary
Mhm.
Stampeders on the late game on Friday. I don't think anyone really expected that.
I did.
I've never been happier to get a pick wrong.
Yeah,
Blake
honestly,
went for 24, 331 in yards for 2 touchdowns. He also put up 43 yards on the ground for 3 touchdowns. This game saw Calgary have 4 different throwers. Vernon Adams went 11-16 for 125 and 2 touchdowns before getting hurt.
PJ about that boy
went 8 for 9 for 64 yards and a touchdown before getting hurt. Quincy Vaughn went 1 for 1 for 5 yards, and Jalen Philpott went 0 for 1 with an interception.
So that was obviously a trick play. But
They were
Coach,
throwing
let's let
everything.
you talk about this game first because you're the only one that got it right.
No, I watched that thing all the way through, man, and they was on a mission. And everything I said that was going to happen happened. VA was uncomfortable in the pocket. VA made throws that were, it just happens. It's a VA game. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes he just makes plays that you're like, what the fuck? But they never gave him a chance to set his feet and be able to throw. No matter if he was on the run, whether he was sitting in the pocket, whether he was climbing the ladder, he was uncomfortable. And Micah always got an interception that was like, damn, even if Micah's getting an interception, you're having a bad game because Micah's all about tackling. So Nathan Rourke, even though Cole did say, it's kind of
best player in the CFL.
Huh?
Best player in the CFL.
And he's kind of a hypocrite with what he said, but still,
oh, yeah, for sure.
He's like, bro, don't be, bro. Just because it didn't work out for you, don't mean you got to shit on us down here. But anyway, the devil is a lie. Good game for BC, great pick, and hey, it is what it is. On to the next one.
Cole, you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, honestly, I'm so mad that Coach cashed in on this because, as you guys know, last week I was trying to pick where I was gonna try to get a game on Blake, and for a little bit
we picked the same all 4 games.
I know, but I was for a little bit going this one. I was trying to think of what my game was going to be opposite on. Knowing how much of a big VA guy was, I thought this would be the game where Blake would go Calgary, and I was prepared to go BC. But then when I saw no Broxton, no James Butler, I can't lie, I got scared out of it. I didn't think the Lions would be able to compete, especially Xander Horvath. Man, I don't remember what he finished with. I think it was
152.
It was 152. Because he did have the long run, I guess, of 70, which makes sense. And a touchdown. So definitely didn't expect that. But as Coach did reference there, and as Blake and I have chatted about quite often in the past, and I could tell by just his reaction. We know this Vernon Adams, and we've seen him before. And as I've said multiple times, Blake, and why I was so concerned last year, because in big games, you cannot rely on that motherfucker. And I hate to say that, but I know he had a great game versus Calgary. I believe that was 2023, the West Semi at home. I believe he had more touchdowns than incompletions. Outside of that, I don't know if it's he gets in his head, he wants to be the guy, whatever it may be, but he tends to fold. And I said, I kind of went out there and made a little bit of a bold. I know Coach asked me, I believe maybe about 6-7 weeks ago, of where the Calgary Stampeders were, where the BC Lions were. Hey, did the Lions make the wrong decision? I said, I believe I kind of didn't answer one way or the other, wanted to kind of just wait and see. My reasoning behind why I think I'm okay with the Lions' decision is that Nathan Rourke's going to give them an opportunity for years to come. Obviously, the CFL is being a little bit different than the NFL, where it's not as long-term of contracts, so who knows what the future could hold. But I've never seen Vernon Adams do it in big games, and outside of the 2022 run, we haven't really seen Nathan do it in big games. But for my money, Nathan Rourke's the best player in the CFL right now. I think you could argue multiple other players, but considering what he does, and especially with the cast around him, the defense around him as well, if it was MVP, where it's most valuable player, I think he wins it in the landslide because of how valuable it is to the BC Lions. Now it's most outstanding player, so I believe it goes to Bo Levi Mitchell, without question, because of his season as a whole.
To be
But
fair,
if
Because
who
he
knows
got
what
gypped last year.
the consideration is anymore for that award?
But when you look at a whole this year, and I know people wanted to do it like going into the game with the numbers, Vernon Adams Jr., Nathan Rourke, they're night and day. And yes, Vernon Adams does deserve to be in that conversation, but does he, or is that defense really the straw that stirs that drink over in Calgary? Those are the conversations that I think need to be realistically had. And Vernon Adams is a great quarterback, top 3, top 4. But when the chips are on the table, and Calgary could go on to beat us in a couple weeks at NBC and win the Grey Cup, I'd feel no different. I'd feel no different moving forward. I'm pretty confident moving forward. Nathan Rourke's gonna give us a chance every year, as long as he's in whatever uniform he's in.
No, I agree, Cole. Like we debated it last week when we were making our picks. Like I think this proves two things. Like one, that this is what the BC Lions have done to you and I this year. Especially me. Like because you guys, all three other of you guys, can attest like how much I continued to pick the BC Lions time and time last year when like I probably shouldn't have. And like this year, I just could not trust them anymore. And as you said, like with the Butler injury, with the Katoy injury, with Jarrell Broxton not playing, Dejon Allen not playing, I thought that the offense would take a step back, and I didn't trust that defense to stop VA enough. But last week, we also talked about the potential for bad VA to show up. Like, as much as I love VA, like almost as much as anyone else in the CFL. Like I still have his jersey. It like I'll probably wear it at some point this season. But like it the spade is the spade. VA has good games and he has bad games. And more often than not, when it is an important game, when it is late in the season, when it is the playoffs, VA has bad games. He, for whatever reason, he cannot get over that hump. He's a great quarterback, but he's not great in the big moments. We talked about that, and like I said, I've never been more happier to be wrong for a pick.
Honestly, it might not be his fault either. Sometimes when you want it so bad and you want to win and you want to make that play, sometimes you just like you don't have the right thought process. You think almost too quick, where you're not taking some time. And that to me is like what I see in Vernon, like that he does want it. You do see that he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the guy that can lead Calgary to a great cup. And I don't count him out that he can't. But at the same time, if we're being honest now, it's most likely going on the road in a West semifinal, in a West final in Saskatchewan. Do I like his chances? Not really, to be honest. If we're being on, if
Well,
we're thinking ahead,
that's just the thing, Cole. Like
I know it's not. I know it's
I know
not.
where you're saying, but there's no, and especially with his injury, I know that it looks like he will start like this week, but that's the other thing about VA is he does have a tendency to be injury prone, and with PJ Walker going out for the season, there's no guarantee that Calgary even finishes in second.
For sure.
Like they might have to go on the road for the West semi.
I don't know if I trust BC or Winnipeg to catch them if they do stumble, though.
They're 2 points behind though. That's just it.
I know, Blake, but as much as I'm happy, let's beat Toronto first. Let's make sure we can beat
I know.
them
No,
because
I get it, and like I said, we're gonna get to it in the picks. But
what
I'm
is
just
what is in the
saying, like,
lines? I know
if you
the
look up
lines. I
at the
know.
standings, like, there's a real potential for one of those two teams to pass, I guess, in Calgary.
It's
I'm
like
right there
it's
with you,
it,
pal.
it's like watching Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. that's what I compare Nathan Rourke and Vernon Adams Jr. because we say the same thing down here about Lamar. Not me, but that's what a lot of the sports analysts assholes like to say about Lamar and say that he can't get it done in big games. Well, Josh Allen hasn't done it either. Neither Nathan nor Vernon have done it in the big games just yet. Vernon, there was a little sprinkle of it when they played Calgary in the playoffs about a year or two ago, but we haven't seen it. And I'm not gonna sit here and knock Vernon and be like, but it's the truth. The proof is in the pudding. Like, you got to do it. At some point, you've been a vet. You're a vet now. You got to get the job done. So hopefully, he gets it together.
Shane, do you have anything to add to this game, or should we just sit back and listen to your rant about your Red Blacks there?
I have nothing. I mean, I will be honest. I worked the next day. Oh no, I didn't. I had other things. I had to be up early in the morning on Saturday, so I didn't really watch all of it because I'm not staying up until like 1 a.m. No offense. I don't have the luxury of it being a 7 o'clock start like you guys did.
That's ridiculous. I
But
could imagine that.
I did watch the first half, and then I kind of realized that okay, BC kind of has this game, and I was like, okay, because it was 28-7 at halftime. I'm like, BC's got this. I'm gonna go to bed. But I mean, I have nothing to say for Ottawa of things I already haven't said.
I like what you
17
said in
points.
the I like what you said in your public Twitter there, that the Red Blacks are just like allergic to winning. Like, it's like the other quarterback had 3 completions. Like, 3. He only had 8 attempts, but he still had 3 completions in the entire game.
Look at
Yeah,
Shane.
he went 3 for 8 for 54 yards and 1 interception. Brady Oliveira had 20. The thing is, we gave him 172 rushing yards.
That's not like
The thing
that's
is,
not
this
great,
is
but it's
Winnipeg
not terrible
overtime.
either.
This is what happened. We've lost the game to Winnipeg by just giving up field goals. I don't know what it is about Winnipeg. Yeah, I think like last year or 2023, we lost 18-15, and all 18 points were field goals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be honest. This team doesn't hate to lose. Like, it just doesn't. I don't even mean this to players. The coaches don't hate to lose. Like Rick Campbell, you've given up five return touchdowns this season, the most of any team.
He's still getting paid by BC, dude.
Your
This week's turned the game around.
Your kicker has been horrible from 40 or longer. You are 64%.
Continually trot him out.
Lewis Ward needs to retire. He is 64% from 40 or more, like between 40 and 49 yards. Between 40 plus, including he's 66%. He's only had 1 attempt over 50. Why are you kicking a field goal from like a 47-yard field goal when you know he's more than likely going to miss it? Like, yeah, okay, you're obviously he's hitting more than he's missing because he's over 50, but at the same time, why are you risking it? Why are you putting yourself in a position where your special teams can't defend where shit is in a position where like they might have a big return, especially against a guy like Vival who's done it before. He's done it twice. You've seen it. That was the turning point. That Vival 128-yard touchdown did it. That is.
They had an 11-point lead at the half, and Streveler had 1 completion.
Yeah, because he had that massive run. That got him down to like the 1-yard line because you couldn't contain the run. Yeah, I mean this coaching staff just doesn't hate to lose. None of them do. There's no emotion on that sideline. Brown, not an emotional quarterback. There's no emotion. Darius Pickett, no emotion on the sideline. Eugene Lewis,
I think he's given up. Like,
there's no emotion. There's never been emotion on the sideline. There's been no emotion on the sideline at all this year. None. Say what you want about Armstead. Say whatever issues he had. One thing he brought was emotion. There is no emotion in that locker room. There's no fire in that locker room. Their record is because they have no emotion. They don't hate to lose.
Yep.
Coaches know they're safe. They know they're not going to get fired. Like they really signed an extension at the beginning of the year, before the season started. Osing isn't going to fire him and pay him not to coach. That's not the Osing. Osing's not going to have dead money like that. I'd be very shocked if they fired Dace at this point.
Well, they're not going to do it for the rest of the season.
I mean, they fired La Police with like 5 games left to go. If they're going to fire him, they're going to do. They would have done it by now. I don't really blame Burke because he's bringing in top talent: Darius Pickett, Santos Knox, William Stanback. Another issue: why Stanback's not your lead running back? I mean, he was hurt against Winnipeg, but he's been your RB2 because you don't have enough quality Canadian. This is why the ratio is the biggest crutch. You don't have enough quality Canadians, so you're forced to play Stanback like 26 snaps when he really should be getting like 36, 37, 38, 40 snaps a game. He can't because you don't have a Canadian, so you're forced to start Adeboye, who has done well. He is good, but this is why the ratio is a problem because you don't actually have the best players on the field because you don't have you can't put an American in when you don't have the Canadians. And yes, losing Pelios sucks. Having to start an American on the right tackle sucks. You don't have you lost Ringland, you lost Adai, you lost Howell, you lost Cumberbatch. You have to start an American at safety. That really hurts. And Cormier's done a really good job at will linebacker. But again, you're forced to play Canadians in different spots, which forces Americans to play in different spots, which means you're not actually dressing the best roster.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Shane, you guys locked in with Brown next year too?
Yep. Yeah, we are.
How much?
I'm not sure. All I know is that he
Too
signed
much.
through 2027.
Is it salvageable to like bring in competition, or you think it just is?
I think so. I mean, I think you go into next year and be like, hey, if you especially if Crump's coming back, 100%. You go into next year and you're like, well, it's up. You guys, I'm not committing to a starting quarterback. You want it, you go. I don't give a fuck about my number 3 or my number 4 string quarterback. Both of them are playing both preseason games. One's going to get the first half, the other one's getting the second half. Fuck that. You're both getting the preseason. If I was going into Ottawa as a head coach next year, I don't give a fuck about who's going to be my third and fourth string. My starters and my second strings are playing the first and second quarter of both games. Don't give a fuck. You want to be a starter? Go out there during the preseason. Go in the preseason. Give me a great quality first half. And I'll give you a starter. I'll make you a starter. The best players, the people that perform at game time, will be starters. I don't care what your name is. I don't care who you are, what you've done in this league before. And this is why I think Ed Hervey's comments about I don't think there's any superstars is somewhat accurate. Because year over year, there is a very small percentage of players in this league, even in the NFL, there's a very small percentage of players that you're going to get the same thing from them year in and year out. Kenny Lawler's a prime example. You know when he's healthy, what you're going to get. Brady Oliveira, when he's healthy, you know what you're going to get. There's a very small percentage of players that have put up consistent numbers, no matter where they've gone, no matter what their team is on that field. You know what you're going to get. Are there some really high-end players? Yes. Are there some consistently high-end players? Yes. But if I'm Ottawa, you've had 4 winning seasons in your history. In 11 years, you've had 4 winning seasons? Or 3 winning seasons.
Coach, you're sick.
15, 18, and 24.
Wasn't last year 9-8-1 too?
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
Y'all niggas suck. Y'all really, really do.
Yo, when you accept mediocrity because you won a Grey Cup, yeah, you're gonna fucking suck. Just straight up. This is what
we're just gonna take this.
You one record. You accepted a coach going like 7-3 over their last 10 games because he won a Grey Cup. And he started the season like 2-6.
Shane,
And you
it's
accept
We're
it.
just gonna
okay.
tape this and then replay it every week
Like,
when we're talking
yes,
about
the
the
team
Red
sucks.
Black
They've
game.
accepted mediocrity. There's nothing else. I just can't wait for them to go into the fucking offseason and maybe take their head out of their ass and rethink their entire philosophy for 2026.
How long have they had their head in their ass?
The whole
And
time.
it's 2014. The saving grace was that 2016 season when the rest of the East sucked ass.
Oh
And
my!
then Abdul Kanay grabbed a shoelace.
Yeah, it's
Like,
What's next?
I don't have anything to say about this game. I really don't want to talk about it.
I
Like
don't want to either. Let's just move on.
I literally said what I needed to say about Stravler, and let's move on to the last game of the week.
Hamilton against Edmonton. This was a closer game, I think, than we all expected. Hamilton won 29-27.
Yeah, I thought I actually watched a bit of this game, like a few different places. I listened on the radio, and then I had it on my phone for a bit. I was at a Western Hockey League game, home opener. But I watched it before the game started. I watched the end of it. Edmonton, like, they're gonna elk all over themselves. I feel like this is exactly how last year played out for the Elks, but the roles are kind of reversed. Like last year, they went into the season with MBT as the starter, started 0-5, 1-6, whatever it was. They went to Trey Ford, who got them like 3-4 wins in a row to the point where they were like 5-6, 5-7, and kind of knocking on playoffs door. And then they had a home and home loss to Winnipeg last year, which kind of knocked them out of playoff contention. And that's where they were. It's like the same but different this year. Whereas they came into the season with Trey Ford as the starter, again, started 0-4, 0-5, whatever it was. Finally went to Cody Fajardo. Fajardo started to turn the season around. They've like their record should be better than what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. Keon, Julian Grant, they should have beat Hamilton both times they played them. Keon, Julian Grant, the game into Edmonton, drops a game-winning touchdown. And then the last 2 weeks, they get walked off on field goals. But, like, until the Elks, much similar to Nathan Rourke, to Vernon Adams, to Josh Allen, to Lamar Jackson, until they get over the hump of winning the big games and relative to that team. And that's the big games where they push themselves into the playoffs, where maybe they have a West semi or an East semi or whatever it is. Maybe they win that, they get to a West final. Until that happens, you are going to have the culture of losing. And that is why they have been walked off on field goals in back to back weeks. It's not Cody's fault. It's not the offense's fault. I would argue it's not even the defense's fault. It's the culture. Like you are the Edmonton Elks, and like it's a cliche saying, but good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose.
Yeah.
And the Elks right now, they're a bad team.
I mean, when you have a possession, and this is one thing I always, if you have a possession with under 3 minutes left to go and you go 3 and out as an offense, you put yourself in a position to get walked off on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can talk about, maybe the play calling wasn't great. But why are you throwing a ball 4 yards when you need 6? Right? Like, I get it. You want to put in, you want to put it in your hands of your receivers to make a play. But at the end of the day, you need 6 yards. Why are you throwing it 4?
Cole, why are you laughing?
Like, you're on a drive and you go 3 and out and you go 8 yards. When you needed 6 on your last one, you get a first down, you probably win the game. But you don't. You go 3 and out, and you put your defense in a position where they need to make a stand against the second best offense in the league. it's not in a favorable position, especially considering
I would argue they're the best. Who's better? Maybe
BC.
Saskatchewan.
Statistically, BC is the better offense
Fair enough. Okay.
by like
Anyways, Cole,
touchdowns and
go ahead.
yards and whatnot. Like the ball, I mean, give it credit to Hamilton, right? You got pinned back at the 10, but at the end of the day, you still put your defense in a position where they have to be the reason you win. You put your defense in a position where if they don't make a stop, you get out. I know coach is tired. He wants to go to bed. He had a long day of practice.
It's honestly
We
what I
still
wanted
have
to say is
picks and CJFL and U Sports.
Yeah. So
death.
I feel like Cody, like as an offense, when you have a chance to put the game away and you don't, that's on
What, Cole?
Death, taxes, and Shane hating on Cody Fajardo or Trevor Harris is like just an and I mostly
It's
agree
not
with
even
him because
Cody Fajardo. It's everything.
Do you
I-
like
I-
anybody? Do you like anyone?
I
God
I,
damn.
I,
He
I
likes
do agree with you,
us
Shane. Though
most
I do agree
times.
with Shane that having the ball
Shut
under
up.
2 minutes, you should with the ball's in your hand, so you should realistically, if you are confident in Cody, be able to do it. I just find like Cody could literally like rescue the whole stadium from a burning like fire, and Shane would be like, "Oh no, he didn't do it quick enough. He left
No.
somebody in there."
His time was not fast enough.
Yeah, and then
No, okay, I don't
Trevor
hear
By
Harris.
the numbers.
What he did in
By
the Grey
the
Cup was
numbers.
great. What he did in the Grey Cup was great. I ain't gonna lie.
That's maybe the first thing I've ever heard Shane say nice about Cody
I
Fajardo.
have no issue with Cody. My issue is that people like to prop him up like he's the best thing since sliced bread. When
Who?
What do you
State
mean?
your source. State your source.
Luke Wilson, for one. He talks about him being like
Ugh.
the baller and whatnot.
Why did
But
you
also,
bring him up?
I'm gonna be very honest.
How did I
Rough Rider
not
fans
know?
were all over Cody when he first got there. To be fair, they turned on him quick, but Rough Rider fans were acting like he was the best thing in the league and that he was the best player in the league and that we got a former third string as our starter. Best thing in the league.
Ain't that what Ottawa did though? They went and got a third stringer.
No, all of ours were second or starters at some point in their career.
I was just mostly just joking with Shane though, but I kind of agree with Blake, to be honest. Actually, no, I agree with Blake to a certain extent on what Blake said. Blake never, ever, 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 ever again mentioned Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson in the same sentence as the Edmonton. We shouldn't even call them the Edmonton Elks. They're just the Edmonton L's, because that's all they do is just stack L's. That's their new nickname. Is the
But in
Edmonton
the playoffs,
L's.
anyways,
Because honestly, though, I said it a few weeks ago,
they have to
this
get to the
team
playoffs. But
drives me insane because for the previous 2-3 years or whatever, I'd get excited, I'd buy into the hype, I'd go out on a limb and predict they'd make it in the playoffs or whatever crazy thing, and then they would absolutely destroy me in the regular season and make me look like an idiot. So I said a few weeks ago, man, I'm so over the Edmonton Elks, and I'll never. Like Blake said, they have a stigma of being a losing franchise, and until they prove otherwise, I'll never pick them in our weekly picks ever again, unless they're playing like
Damn.
Ottawa. I'm just kidding.
even then, I might not pick them. But anyways,
Pretty sure we're 500 against them, so we're fine.
What's next?
But
Especially
seriously,
since Mike Riley left. Or Michael
The
Riley.
Elks
should we try and quickly bang out CJFL and U Sports?
Yeah, we can.
Edmonton L's though, boys.
Hey, let's put it on a shirt.
We have that ability.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
I kind of like Edmonton, like some of the Edmonton friends though that I have, so I don't want to piss them off.
I don't know.
Hey,
Wow.
if they want to be upset about facts, let them. That's fine.
Damn.
Anyways.
Yeah, facts over feelings.
Send it to commission.
So, let's just jump right into the CGFL real quick. Some playoff implications. The Quincy Skyhawks lost to London Beefeaters 25-13. London has officially clinched a spot in the OFC playoffs. And the game only lasted 30 minutes. The Saints beat up on the GTA Grizzlies 93-0 in the first half, and the game was called at halftime. St. Clair has been, they've been clinched since like week 5, but they've officially clinched the first seed and home field advantage through the OFC playoffs.
Let's be realistic, Shane. They've clinched home field throughout the. Oh no, they have to travel this year, don't they? Never mind.
Yeah. The Okanagan Sun decided to one-up the St. Clair Saints, but it took them a full 4 quarters to put up the 94 points against Blake's favorite team, the Langley Rams, when they got blown out 94-0. The Valley Huskers put themselves in a really good spot for the BCFC playoffs with a 56-14 win over the Kamloops Broncos, and I think a shock to anyone who follows the CFL. Cole's Vancouver Island Raiders beat the West Shore Rebels 10-8. So West Shore is looking needs another week to clinch second in the BCFC and puts Valley in a spot to or Prince George in a spot to actually overtake them. If Langley can actually score points and beat West Shore this week.
You're hilarious.
But the Raiders and Huskers go into this week's battle this weekend with if the Langley Rams lose and the Huskers win, they clinch 4th in the BCFC. If Vancouver wins and Langley loses, they also clinch 4th against Valley. If Langley somehow wins and Vancouver wins, it sets up a do or die week, last week of the season between Langley and Vancouver if Valley loses the final week of the season in the BCFC. So a lot of playoff implications in the BCFC for the two boys out here.
Shane, I gotta say one thing before we get out of here because it was the most absurd thing that happened, boys. As you guys know, I've been the color commentator for the Raiders this season. I've enjoyed every game this season.
Oh my God, you're gonna talk about this catch, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I will definitely go check that catch out because that was remarkable. It's tough to say I didn't enjoy this game because the Raiders did win. But as I just said, I called this game, so I have to kind of like talk through the game. This game was the most frustrating game to ever call. So in 60 minutes, boys, take a guess of how many penalties you think were called and for how many total yards were.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Wasn't it like 40 for like 300 and some odd yards?
I'm gonna say
That's
Blake is.
ridiculous.
I'm gonna say Blake is no, and I'm
50?
72. 60.
So in a 60-minute ball game between two teams, there was 58 penalties called for a total of 485 penalty yards in the game. It was the most frustrating, and the game is typically 2.5 hours. I'm out of there, nice and clean. 3.5 hours, man. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm sure none of you guys are gonna go watch back the game, but if you guys ever do, oh my God, some of these calls were ridiculous. And I know Blake's a referee, and it's a thankless job, all that stuff. But holy moly, man!
That's okay. I can still talk about them when they do crappy.
Yeah, but 58 penalties, boys. I'll give it back to Shane, but I had to get that in there. I couldn't believe it.
And then for the Sunday slate of games, Regina Thunder hold off the Winnipeg Rifles with a 41-40 win. The Saskatoon Hilltops beat up the Edmonton Wildcats 52-26. And the Edmonton Huskies win 41-30 over the Calgary Colts. And the Hamilton Hurricanes beat up on the Ottawa Sooners, effectively eliminating them from OFC playoff contention 51-0. This week's slate of games, still lots to go in the playoffs. Sault Ste. Marie can clinch a spot in the playoffs with a win over the Ottawa Sooners. London can secure second in the OFC with a win over St. Clair, which we more than likely not going to happen. West Shore Rebels can clinch a spot against the Langley, clinch second in the BCSC with a win over Langley. Valley can secure a spot in the playoffs with a win over the VI Raiders. Saskatoon and Regina go head-to-head for number one spot in the PSC. The winner will have if Regina beats Saskatoon by less than 3. Saskatoon will have the top spot. They need to beat Saskatoon by more than 3. But if Saskatoon, they have the number 1 spot. And then Prince George can officially lock up the playoff spot with a win over Kamloops on Saturday, and 3 games on Sunday. Wildcat and Rifles, Calgary Colts, and the Edmonton Huskies. The last 2 spots in the PFC completely wide open. All 4 teams are 2-4. They all have wins and losses against each other. That tiebreaker is a mess in the PFC. The last 2 spots are wide open. And then the Quinty Skyhawks face off against the GTA Grizzlies. That game won't matter if the Sioux can beat Ottawa. If the Sioux lose, Quinty can set up with a Quinty win. It sets up a win in your situation between the Skyhawks and the Cougars in the final week of the season.
I will correct you just a little bit, Shane. Saskatoon had that week 1 loss to Winnipeg. So going into this game, Regina and Saskatoon are 5-1.
Yeah.
So either team that wins would have the inside track for first because they have 1 more week after this.
Yeah.
But a Regina win would mean that Saskatoon would need to win next week and have Regina lose to potentially still get first. But
is it just head-to-head in the PFC? Head-to-head in points total? That's what I was told.
Yeah, but if they're both 5-1, so the winner of this game would be 6-1. The loser would be 5-2.
Yeah, but they've already played each other, and Saskatoon beat Regina 18-15 earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So they would have to, if Saskatoon loses to Regina by more than 3, Saskatoon gets the tiebreaker.
Okay,
If Saskatoon wins, they get the tiebreaker, and no matter what happens last week, whoever wins clinches first in the PFC.
Yeah.
If Saskatoon loses by more than 3.
That's on Sunday, Shane, that game?
No, Saturday night. I want to find a way to watch it, but we should quickly touch on U Sports, maybe just the winners, maybe not even the scores this week. Although the UBC game was very exciting, but
yeah, and I mean, again, anything can happen in Canada West, that's for sure. But very interesting week. I don't agree with the top 10. I think the top 10 that U Sports has put out is a joke, but that's besides the point. So last Friday, McGill upsets Montreal 31-24. Saskatchewan beats Regina, gives Regina their first loss of the season, 22-20. And UBC comes back and beats Calgary 23-22. That wraps up the 3 games on Friday night. The Saturday slate started off in St. FX with a 2017 win over St. Mary's, officially handing St. Mary's their first loss of the season. Laurier and Ottawa had a very close one. Came down to the final minute. A goal line stand by. Laurier got them the 30-24 win over the Ottawa GGs. McMaster got their first win of the year, beating Guelph 25-15. Windsor beats Toronto 30-14. Carleton beats York 48-36. Queens beats Waterloo 58-18. For the OUA, Laval beats Concordia 39-14. Bishops beats Acadia 20-5, and Manitoba beats Alberta 34-7. So that wraps up the U Sports scores.
Yeah, so with a few weeks left, especially in the OUA and that McMaster win, like everything is up for grabs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean the 3 teams currently that are locked are basically the top 4 are basically locked. They would have to fall apart. Western and Laurier are both undefeated. We kind of hold the top 2. Queens and Ottawa are 3 and 4. Carleton, York, Windsor, Guelph. Like basically, Guelph, McMaster, Waterloo only have 1 win. Carleton, York, and Windsor all have 2. So that 5 to 7 spot completely wide open.
Is it 6 in the OUA or is it 7?
So you get a top spot gets a bye, and then it's the rest of the 6.
And in Canada West, Sask and Regina are both 3-1 now. Calgary, UBC, and Manitoba are all 2-2, and the only one that's might be out of it, although not technically yet, is Alberta. They're 0-4. But
Yeah, and then RSCQ got a little bit dicey with Montreal losing to McGill. Them and Laval are 3-1. Concordia is 1-3. McGill's 2-2, and Sherbrooke, who was on a bye last week, is now also 1-3. AUS again, kind of a mosh posh. They've all lost to each other. St. Mary's, Bishop, St. FX are 3-1. St. Mary's lost to St. FX. Bishop's lost to St. Mary's, and St. FX lost to Bishop. Acadia is 1-3, and Mount Allison's 0-4. So kind of a mosh posh over there in the AUS.
All right, let's get in the picks.
So yeah, Coach wants to go to bed.
Coach ready to hang him up and go to bed.
I got a game tomorrow. I got to get my rest.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh dang. Okay, then let's do this quick.
What time is the game?
The game is at 6, I believe. Senior night.
Yeah, where can we watch Senior night already?
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
It was the only time we could get it in.
Isn't it like the last game of the season usually?
No, if you can do senior night whenever you want to, but it's just how they matched it up and it worked out that way.
Where can we watch it?
I think there's a website we do have, WIA. I'll double check that and send out the link to y'all.
Yeah, anyway, send out the link. Okay, so Friday, early game.
The early game, Calgary against Montreal. Davis Alexander is expected to start. So is Vernon Adams Jr. Take that information with what you will.
Wait. Before we start, what are the records?
This motherfucker here.
To be fair, I haven't updated it yet, so give me 1 second.
This motherfucker, I swear to God.
You wouldn't have gained any on me, though, Blake.
No, but I didn't lose anything either.
No, the only one who gained anything was Coach because he went 3-1 and tied me. That's for sure.
And everyone else went 2-2.
Yeah, so Blake is still first at 38-24. Cole is 36-26, and Coach and I are 32-30.
We got 4 weeks.
Last, I'm cool.
We got 5 weeks left.
17, 18,
that week
19,
17,
20. Yeah, 21. So yeah, 5 weeks.
5 weeks, yeah. 17-21 is 5.
Okay, you know what? Cole, I'll let you go first in this game then.
So
No.
Calgary versus Montreal. I'm gonna go Montreal. They're finally getting healthy. That defense is great. I don't know how healthy VA is gonna be if he actually is healthy or if he's just coming back. I'm gonna just go Montreal on this one.
I'm going Calgary.
Blake?
I'm gonna go Montreal as well. I agree with Shane. I like that Davis Alexander's coming back. Like, we've seen it. They're a completely different team with Davis Alexander as quarterback than anybody else. Like, they were 4-0, 3-0 to start the year with him. He got injured, missed 2 games or whatever. They lost them both. He came back, let him do a comeback win. They were 4-2 after that, and they he's been out ever since. And they were 1-5 or 1-6 or whatever it was without him, and should have been 0-6 or 0-7 if VA hadn't got hurt the first time they played Calgary. So I think with Davis Alexander, they're a better team. I agree with Shane. I don't know how healthy truly VA is. And of course we never wish this, but if VA were to get hurt again, who's their other option? Like, PJ Walker tore his ACL. He's out for the year. So I don't trust whoever's behind VA. I think Montreal, and it's in Montreal as well. Like, for whatever reason, that trip for Western teams, except for the BC Lions, seems to be extremely hard. So I'm going to go with Montreal.
Yeah, unfortunately, Coach, I'm going to leave you. Maybe it's fortunately for Coach. I'm going to go Montreal as well. I just feel like this is kind of like recipe for. I don't want to as much as Blake is celebrating. I'd like to go Calgary, but I feel like Montreal's pressure, along with Davis Alexander coming back. Although I think it will take maybe a drive, a quarter, a half, maybe for Alexander to look comfortable, to get kind of up to speed again, shake off a little bit of rust from missing some time. I do like what happens if Vernon Adams does get it, right? And then the Calgary Stampeders are really screwed in that situation. And although I feel like Vernon Adams is like I don't want to say the king of the 1 week injury where he leaves games and ends up coming back the next week and ends up usually playing pretty good. But I'm gonna go with Montreal until proven otherwise, I guess.
Cool. So Friday night game, Toronto Argonauts heading over to the BC Lions. I'm gonna go take BC. Again, I don't trust that Toronto defense. BC offense seems to be getting hot at the right time. 52, 38, 33 in back-to-back weeks. 34 if you go back all the way up to week 12.
I think it's 7 straight weeks.
Yeah, because week
over
11 they
30.
popped 36, week 10, 41, 30. The last time they dropped under 30 was week 7 when they lost to the Rough Riders. So offense is finally starting to get it. Defensively, they seem to still struggle a little bit, but I think they want redemption after getting a 50 burger dropped on their head in Toronto in week 12. So I have BC here.
I'm gonna go with. I'm not confident in saying this, but I'm gonna go with the Lions as well. Like as much as Cole and I are definite diehard Lions fans, like we seem to get screwed with the Lions all year. Like Cole puts it perfectly every time he says, like, this team takes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I feel like this has the potential to be that 1 step back game. Like, we beat Montreal, we beat Edmonton, came home to Saskatchewan, laid an egg. Like, we beat Hamilton, we beat Montreal at home. We went to Toronto. We're like, man, this schedule's setting up perfectly. Like, Toronto, Eastern team, kind of near the bottom. Ottawa again, and they laid an egg. They allowed 52 points to Toronto. They lost another game to Ottawa. They should have won. Like, but if you have real aspirations, and I can 100% say that I know the players are the ones on the field, but like even the business staff, I know some of the people on the business staff, and I happened to see them on Friday night after that St. Peter's game. They were talking about a potential home playoff game. And like I said, like I know they've been such a Jekyll and Hyde team, but they're 2 points back of Calgary. Calgary they have no more buys left on the year. They've played one last game, but like a Calgary loss and a BC win would tie the BC Lions for second place. So I feel like if you have aspirations for a home playoff game, this is a game you have to win. You're at home. You just came off giving up or scoring 50 points. I don't think they're going to score 50 again, but maybe the defense has turned a corner like Matthew Betts, 6 sacks in his last 2 games. Maybe, just maybe, but I'm also ready to be hurt. But I'm going to go with the Lions.
So what are you going for?
God damn it, I dropped my fucking... No, I didn't. I'm going to go with BC. I'm just going to roll with them on that one. I think that they're getting hot at the right time. It's a good matchup for them, and they're going to take care of business.
Hamilton
I
versus
will
Saturday
go-
afternoon.
I'll go
Cole
with
didn't
BC
make
too.
his pick.
I figured Cole was just going BC. I also kind of
Yeah.
forgot that he didn't answer, so my bad. You talked
All
so
good.
long, I forgot who talked first.
All good, Shane. I got BC. I pretty much agree with what Blake said. Maybe a little bit more of some cause for concern, I feel like, because as I said, I feel like a few weeks ago I kind of pronounced them dead, and here they are alive and with everything to play for coming up. But this is a game you have to take care of, I feel like. Argos, if you want to be the team that you want to kind of fulfill out this season, especially with the opportunities around you with Winnipeg stumbling, Calgary stumbling, you got to take advantage of a game like this. So let's hope we can speak one into existence.
So yeah, second the Saturday night game is
Saturday noon
Hamilton
game,
in
isn't it?
Winnipeg. Is the early game. I'm going Hamilton. I know Claris is supposed to be back. He's been, but like, how healthy is this man at this point?
One hit and he's out again. Like,
yeah, and like again, I don't think Hamilton is going to let a quarterback throw 3 completions and lose a game. And it seems like Hamilton is on a mission this year. It seems like Bo Levi, Kenny, they're on a mission this year to win. So this is a game, you know, you can basically secure first with a win. But you know, we'll see. I think Hamilton wins it, but they can basically secure first with a win, I think.
It's in
Yeah,
Hamilton?
if they win, they get up to 10 wins. They have 20 points. With 3 games left, Montreal is 4 points behind. So they would need a win plus a Montreal loss to clinch first in the East this year. With this week.
I think it's in Winnipeg, Cole.
It is in Winnipeg.
I'm going with Hamilton. I think they'll cause pressure on Collaros. Hopefully he does not get hurt. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, but it's Hamilton's game to win.
Blake, before you go, what are the odds you take Winnipeg? Because I know you're already not, so what are the odds? Because I really want to go Hamilton here, and I don't want you to pick Hamilton either.
0.
Oh, that's tough. I don't blame you. I guess I got Hamilton too.
Yeah, I'm going with Hamilton. Like I don't really care who's quarterback. Like Claros, he hasn't looked great all year. Like when Winnipeg has won, they've won because of Brady Oliveira and their defense. I don't trust whoever's behind center for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, whether it's Claros, whether it's Chris Strevler, whether they put Terry Wilson out there finally. I know they're not going to, but yeah, I just don't trust them. Hamilton, I agree with Shane. Like they're on a mission, and it would definitely benefit them to clinch first as early as possible because, as we said, Davis Alexander is coming back. Montreal's a different team with Davis Alexander, and even without him, they were starting to maybe finally get right after back-to-back wins. I mean, I don't think so. Like the wins came over Toronto, who was on a third-string quarterback, and I forget who they beat last week, but it wasn't.
Well, so things get interesting between like Hamilton needs to win this because especially if Montreal wins, things get real interesting.
Yeah, like I agree. Like as I say, it would definitely benefit Hamilton, and I don't think they're gonna let this opportunity go by them. So,
yeah. Well, the next 4 weeks, Hamilton plays Toronto, but then with Montreal on a bye, but then they play Calgary. Montreal plays Ottawa. Then Hamilton goes on a bye. While Montreal plays Ottawa, and they end the season with Montreal against Winnipeg and Hamilton against Ottawa.
Yeah,
So, assuming given Ottawa's track record against Montreal, you know, in week 19 and week 20, that's 2 wins for Montreal. That's your point differential right there. Assuming everything stays the same, if you suffer a loss to Toronto or Hamilton, you're in a position where Montreal could squeak in if they both win this week. So
yeah,
could make things interesting in the East pretty easily heading into that last 5 weeks of the season.
Last game of the week.
The Rough Riders going against the L's in Edmonton. I think we're all taking Saskatchewan here. I don't think anyone is taking.
Do it! I dare you. I dare you to take it.
Hey, if you want to hear, if you know, for Rough Rider fans who are listening, if the Rough Riders win and Calgary loses, they clinch they clinch first in the division.
Is that right?
Because they'd be at 22 points. The next closest team would be at
16.
6, but they had the tiebreaker against BC.
No, they don't have it against Calgary. Calgary beat them twice.
Yeah, but Calgary would be also at 16.
Right, but Calgary would have
16, but they would have. Don't they have it again? Oh no, they don't. So yeah.
So they wouldn't clinch first yet, but they clinch a home playoff game with a win.
No, maybe that's what it was. I thought it was for the West.
No,
I know they basically would clinch against even if BC or Winnipeg win, they win here.
Yeah,
it for them. I think they need Calgary to lose next week.
for whatever reason, Edmonton seems to give Saskatchewan a bit of trouble, but the Rough Riders seem to pull out the win. Like, it was week 1 last year, it was like a 3-point game. Earlier this year, it was a 3-point game. I believe they played in week 1. Oh no, they played Ottawa. They played early in the season this year too, and it was a pretty close game. But I just like we said when we were recapping last week's games, like good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose. And Saskatchewan's a good team, Edmonton's a bad team. Somehow Edmonton's gonna find a way to win, to lose, pardon me, and the Riders are gonna find a way to win.
So yeah, the only difference this year is, or this week, is coach with Calgary.
Good news, boys. I took a peek forward. I think there's going to be some opportunities ahead for me to go some different ways on Blakey. I took a quick peek. I feel like his heart's gonna come into play in a couple weeks here, and I know just where to sneak in and get him.
Starting next week, you never know.
Well, one thing we didn't mention, which I think is kind of a, all the rule changes aside, one thing that the CFL needs to update this offseason is their website. That needs to be number one. I don't care what anyone says. That is number one.
Yes.
The CFL teams are wearing their the Aboriginal Indigenous.
Oh, the Indigenous,
logo.
yeah.
It's also the logos on their website. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You go onto the CFL website. The games this week are all in the Indigenous logo.
So very quick.
It's like at least as of right now, the rest of the way. Now I don't know if that's because it's one or the other. You can't offset it for certain weeks. But as of right now, the rest of the season, the Indigenous logos are on display.
Yeah, so I will just say quickly that we won't have a show before then. So Truth and Reconciliation Day up here in Canada is on Tuesday. It's not a day to celebrate. Like, if it might be a day off for some people, like, I don't know about you, Shane, but Cole, like, you might get the day off. But if you don't know the history behind like residential schools and the First Nations segregation, and like I might even be saying that improperly, but please take a few minutes, like, read about it. And it's not like, I know what a lot of people think, but it wasn't just happening in like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. Like,
yeah, I can chime in here actually, fellas, and just say, actually speak from experience. My grandmother actually attended residential school, so if it wasn't for such a badass woman, I wouldn't be here. So like Blake said, definitely do your research and just do a little bit of reading up about it, because it is definitely, as Blake said, it's not like it was in the 40s and 50s. It was more recently than that. And yeah, just knowledge yourself for sure.
I was gonna say, like, the last school closed in the mid 90s, so
96?
the year before the
away.
three of us were born, and Coach was a wee lad. So
fuck y'all.
I mean, I will say probably one of the best courses I did in school was like a Native Studies class, which broke down more of what happened in Canada with the natives and whatnot, or the Aboriginals. If you don't know the history, it's
read up on it, please.
Read up on it. It's not.
It's messed up.
Talk
Like,
a lot about the states and their history. People need to know more about what happened in Canada up until '96, and
I'll say messed up is like the politest way I could say it, but like even that is underselling it. Like,
yeah, it's not.
Anyways, it's been a long show. Yes, Coach has a game to prepare for, so
you can go.
It's fine. I'm a power nap.
Yay, rule changes though. We'll leave on that, boys. I think it was
rule changes. They make for some interesting conversations. Enjoy this week's slate of games. Enjoy the CFL, U Sports, NCAA, CJFL, NFL, whatever you enjoy. Enjoy this week's slate of games. We'll catch you back here next week. Say go Dogs.
Yeah, on Saturday, Washington and Ohio State. The Dogs are going to pull off the upset.
Give the fuck about
you, Justin. 1-3, baby. Garbage having them ranked in the top 5 in the preseason. Absolute joke.
Wow.
That's true. The team's not good. They should never have been ranked that high. They should have been ranked like 22nd or 23rd, not fucking third. That's a joke for them to be ranked that high.
Anyways,
But we'll catch you back here next week. We have about like 2 months left of this show, so keep joining
crazy.
us. Every Wednesday, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you back here 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, enjoy this weekend's slate of games. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
See ya.